Let me give you some tech free of charge. Okay? Humans can like live without food for several days, weeks even. Okay? And so if you're pressed, right? Like let's say, I don't know, there's a new League skin or a new Fortnite skin comes out, okay? And it's like $10 and you're like, "Man, I don't have $10. I need to like buy lunch tomorrow." Okay? You can just not eat for that day, and then you have the $10 that you can spend on the Fortnite skin. I don't know why people aren't using this like hidden tactic, but it's underutilized for sure. Top 10 things your body doesn't want you to know. It's true. Dude, I started eating less. We're talking like a lot less. Over the last 2 weeks, I actually saved myself hundreds of dollars. It's not a hot take at all. I think it's such a cold take. I hate paper straws. I don't like them. I don't think they don't do anything other than frustrate me. There's no way that it reduces landfill volume by any percentage. And also, they are just a shit product. Fucking woke mind virus. Making me do all this bullshit. I don't want to LARP as a savior environment. I just want to be a savior of the environment. And let me tell you something. Paper straws are not where it's at. Use a metal straw? No, that feels too pretentious to me, weirdly enough. I knew some girls who used metal straws. I don't want to have to wash a straw. I don't like it. I almost never use it. The only time I ever use a straw is in a restaurant setting. I very rarely use a straw in any other context. Just single plastic straw per sip, true. I don't know. I grew up in California, and we had to read this story about this rich guy. It was the reason I say California is because it's technically a Latin story, like a Latino story, but it doesn't really have to be. But basically, there's this Latin family who's really poor. In true white savior fashion, the minority is really poor. So there's this Latin family that's really poor. They're so poor that they can't afford utensils. And there's this rich guy, and he can afford all the utensils. And so the poor family hatch a scheme to trick the rich family. And they basically go, "Hey, rich guy," or they ask the rich guy, "Hey, can we have one of your straws? You have so many of them." And the rich guy says, "Fuck you, these are my straws." And so the poor family hatch a scheme, and they tell the rich guy that they know someone who uses a new spoon every time they take a bite or whatever of soup, or they use this every time they do a spoonful of soup. They use a different spoon. And this rich guy is not going to be outriched by some Latin family, right? By some family friend of this Latin family. So he accepts the challenge. And eventually the rich guy, so he used the spoon, right? Throws it away, uses a new spoon, throws it away, uses a new spoon, throws it away. And he gives all the old spoons to the Latin family. And eventually the rich guy goes bankrupt because he's buying so many spoons. And the rich guy goes up to the Latin family and goes, "There's no way you know someone rich enough to buy a new spoon for every soup." And they're like, "Oh yeah, watch this." And they take the rich guy to some shack in the fucking desert. And they walk in, and there's this dude sitting around a kettle pot with a thing of queso. No tables, no chairs, no utensils. And the rich guy's like, "This is the guy who uses a new spoon for every bite?" And they go, "Yep." And the guy whips out a piece of tortilla and scoops the queso and eats it. And the rich guy's like, "No, I've been had." And then the story ends. Moral of the story: if you're a rich person, don't listen to poor people. We should pull that spoon trick on Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is turning into a lib. I saw something recently that said when he dies or whatever, he's going to give a lot of his money away to environmental efforts or some shit like that. It could have been clickbait, but I saw something that he's gonna, because I don't think, does he have kids? And I reckon the only thing he hates more than, like, liberals complaining about his sweatshop conditions is the government. So, I guess he'd rather just give it all away to, like, something useful, rather than have the government take, like, a bunch of estate taxes. But I could be wrong. Sorry, I had to check on dinner. How could I vet into college when my Korean age is 15? I mean, young Sheldon got into college when he was, like, 11. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not that smart as young Sheldon. Math sucks. True. I imagine you can only, like, do what you can only excel through, through school really quickly if you have, like, superb, math skills, huh? Like, if you were really good at writing or something, they wouldn't, like, push you through the same way they would for young Sheldon. I imagine. The difference is, I think here's the difference. If you're talented in writing, or a humanity, you don't need to go to college. Fivehead. Versus if you're talented in a math or a science, you kind of do need to go to college for your career. I figured it out, I think. Dude, low-key, I'm in a muscle disorder class. I'm also in a muscle metabolism class. And I, like, I barely understand what the fuck is happening in my muscle metabolism class. There's just so many, like, cell signaling pathways and shit like that. It's so much nerd shit, you wouldn't believe it. And we have to, like, do a project, and I'm so lost. There's no exams or quizzes, but we have to do a project and, like, prove that we're competent in the things that we're learning, and I'm so fucking lost. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, wait a minute. I am going to use disabled people to my advantage. I am going to make my project about muscle metabolism within people with cerebral palsy, and so that way people will be a lot more lenient because they think I'm, like, kind and think of the meek. Like, literally, I was giving my presentation. I was like maybe fourth, third to last presentation. My presentation compared to other presentations, incredibly simple. It's literally like, I want to see how insulin uptake is affected in people with cerebral palsy. And, like, other people are like, I want to see how antioxidants affect the mTOR pathway and AMPK signaling and, like, all of this nerd shit. And the guy and my professor goes, you know, it's very valiant of you to think of these of this generally, what's the fucking word I'm looking for? Generally discarded group of people. And I go, thank you. I try. What can I say? You know me. I like to help others. And, yeah, hero is a good thing to call me. Veteran, you can also call me. I don't mind as well. Messiah, you know, the second coming, stuff like that. Kids are hype. My little brother will be like, man, I'm so fast. I'll be like, oh yeah? Let's see how fast you are. You want to race? And he goes, yeah, but you'd probably lose. And I'm like, all right. And then I fucking smoke his ass. It's so sick. Or, like, we'll be playing Smash Ultimate together, and he'll be talking that, and we're literally playing against CPUs, right? We don't have multiplayer. And he'll be talking that good shit. He'll be like, yeah, like, get fucked. Not actually, but paraphrasing. He'll be like, yeah, I totally destroyed the enemy team. And I'm like, you sure did, buddy. And he's like, yeah, I did all the work. You didn't do anything. And I'm like, all right, let's relax, guy. And he's like, yeah, I'm just kind of the best Smash Ultimate player, I guess. And I'm like, all right, we're queuing the fucking 1v1, pussy. Well, you're not fucking talking all that good shit to me. You're not shooting strays at me. I just know you're not. And then I fucking JV5 his ass.